Have you ever wondered what was out there in the night sky? Stared up at the stars in the hopes of seeing something out of the ordinary? Have you ever heard unexplainable noises coming from a vacant room, or watched a shadow cross the wall in front of you? Have you asked yourself if there's life after this one, or if you had life before? What about strange creatures that are mythical and elusive? Have you experienced deja vu, or felt a prompting to leave because you felt you were in danger? What if tomorrow you were on the fringe? Welcome to On the Fringe. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mark.
Man, tonight we've got a show for you. It's taken me several weeks of actually research. Don't know how well it's going to turn out because I couldn't get all the information compiled. Tons of research, though. I mean, I actually listened to a couple of books about it. I mean, it's been a while. I know we've been talking about this for a while. I want to share this topic just because I find it interesting. I've been intrigued by it for a long time. This, what we're mainly going to talk about tonight, is really prophecy from the Christian's perspective. Just because it's popular, especially right now with everything that's going on. So don't. I'm throwing that out there because I don't want you to think we're trying to shove our beliefs down your throat, things like that. But the evidence I've researched and looked at is extremely compelling. Hey, Mom. But yeah, it blew my mind when I started reading it and going down this rabbit hole. There's videos to watch, and that's not counting exactly out of the Bible, just these two books. First things first, do us a favor. Check us out over our website, whatiftomorrowmedia.com. We've got all our affiliates there. See if I can remember them tonight. We've got Duke Cannon, My Patriot Supply, EMP Shield, and Conflicted the Game. And then we got a new shirts up. I'm actually working on some things with a different provider. They offer more options. They have like can koozies. They have phone case. I mean, they got tons of stuff up there. So do us a favor. Yeah, and I'm working on some new logos for this show. Once I get them done, I'm gonna throw them up on Facebook and let the group vote on them to which one they like the best, and then we'll use that as our logo, and there'll be shirts forthcoming and all that good stuff. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, with that being said, let's jump into it. We have a lot to cover. I think this may roll over into the What If Tomorrow podcast, because I think a lot of it we can look at through the lens of preparedness, if that makes any sense. And I hopefully, with what we bring forth tonight, we can just kind of roll it over. Anyway, the first part of this all stems off of a Bible verse. It's in Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, verses 9-10. And it says, "The bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will replace them with cedars." Okay, it doesn't sound prophetic at all. And there is contention out there among pastors and religious leaders that this doesn't mean what the author says it means, but it's a series. It's a book called The Harbinger. This is what this has come out of, and it's written by Jonathan Cahn. It's been out for several years. I'd listened to it before, but something compelled me to listen to it again. So I did, and I was like, man, we got to do a show about this because it all lines out. And what I found uncanny are a lot of the dates. I think this is a a perfect time to bring this show about because we're rolling up on September 11th. We won't have another show until after the fact. And September 11th, and I didn't know this, and every time the author throws a date out, it is a fictional book, but the facts and things like that are factual. And every time the author threw out a date or a location or something like that, I would go look it up and I would verify it. And sure enough, the date of September 11th, not just 2001, but September 11th throughout our nation's history, even before we were a nation, is hugely significant to this nation. Not only that, but it's also, I want to say, I can't remember the Jewish holiday. Do you, Mark?
I do not.
I don't remember what it is. The Shemitah and all that stuff. It's fascinating. But just for starting, Hudson, when they discovered New York, the island of New York, the date was September 11th. Like, if I forget the year, do you remember the year, Mark?
I do not remember the year, but
Okay.
I remember it was Henry Hudson, and it was on September 11th.
Right. And I'll get back around to the verse in a second, but I just want to explain the significance of September 11th on how it is so ingrained in our history. But George Washington, okay, and I'm going to share this just because that way you guys don't think I'm making it up or what have you. Let's see here. But this is from AmericanHeritage.com, right? September 11th, 1776 was the first attack on New York.
Okay. And I just looked up September 11th, 1609 is when Henry Hudson discovered New York.
Right. So that was before we were a nation, obviously. But from the start, September 11th has been a significant day. And that's funny. Nice article, huh?
Isn't it?
But what's that?
Isn't it?
And I'll just read the headline. The World Trade Center attack wasn't the first time New York was brutally assaulted. 225 years before, George Washington watched the city burn from his headquarters in northern Manhattan after painful military defeats. Okay. September 11th, 1776, during the Revolution. Now we'll fast forward a little bit, and we'll come back to Washington here in a second. September 11th, 1941. FDR, after several of our ships got sunk by German and Italian ships. This is before we're technically in World War II. On September 11th, 1941, FDR basically on his fireside chat in this decree basically told them the Navy that if you see a German or an Italian ship, to sink it, which essentially started bringing us into World War II before the Japanese attack. Okay, the same day, this is all going to come. This next one's going to come into play, and I want, if I can explain it right. The same day, they set the foundations for the Pentagon, and that's significant. So September 11th, 1941, they also started building the Pentagon. And if you're not familiar with the Pentagon, that is where all of our military headquarters is. The main, the Joint Chiefs, all the generals and all that stuff that deal closely with the president. So that's going to come into play here in a little bit. But anyway, with that verse, the bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild with hewn stone. The sycamores are cut down, but we'll replace the cedars. Now, what he's talking about is harbingers. This is a harbinger, okay? The first harbinger was the breach, and that's what they're calling it, the breach. Okay, and he compares this to ancient Israel, when Israel turned away from God. Okay, and when Israel turned away from God, because the inauguration day of President George Washington, all of the leaders, the founders, the founding fathers, all that went to the chapel. Okay, I can't remember the name of the chapel, and I'm sure we could look it up, but it was just off of Ground Zero, just off Wall Street, off of Ground Zero in New York. They made a covenant with God. Okay, just like Israel did. Okay, so now we're putting in a little bit of context here. But when Israel broke their covenant with God, Assyrians attacked. And it started off kind of as a warning, not from the Assyrians, but considered to be a warning from God, saying, hey, get back on the path. Same thing, men of, terrorist descent, which is the second harbinger, is the terrorist. The men of Assyrian descent, and the author calls Assyrians basically the founders of terrorism. And they say that the terrorists on 9/11 that took over the airplane were of Assyrian descent, because they're from Saudi Arabia and all that, or so they say. Now, it's debatable whether it was an inside job or whatever. I don't buy into the conspiracies on that. Is it possible? Absolutely it is. I can't deny that it's not possible. But, the attack, the breach, when they attacked our financial system, right? And then, let's see, basically claiming that God dropped the hedge of protection around the United States because we broke our covenant. And we can go into the history, we can debate it all day long. That's fine. This isn't really. Go ahead.
Well, it's also possible that the terrorists picked that day on purpose, having come across these facts themselves.
And it's possible. But see, I thought September 11th
But that
was
doesn't
also.
change it.
No, it doesn't. I also thought September 11th was a Muslim holiday. Hey, I thought it was. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not going to claim it is, but I thought it was. I thought that was when Benghazi happened. That's what they were talking about. It was a Muslim holiday. Hey, Chris. But this, was a breach on the land. This is where our nation essentially started. George Washington took his oath of office in New York City at Ground Zero. Right afterwards, like I said, they went to the church, made a covenant with God. And then, the bricks have fallen down. Obviously, the collapse. They're talking about the collapse. And then here's where it gets crazy. They said that, in the verse, remember the verse, the sycamores are cut down. On a corner at Ground Zero, there was a sycamore tree. And what happened when the buildings collapsed? The sycamore tree was knocked down.
A giant beam fell down and took it out.
Right. No, I'll share this picture. And this is crazy. It happened. I mean, I don't remember exactly what all happened, but it was basically the same thing as what happened to Israel. And here's a picture of the sycamore. And they made a, they say it's a sign of national judgment. And I don't remember the little intricate details that he brought about explaining all of this. But basically it's a sign of judgment, okay? So So they knocked out the sycamore tree, and then they said, the bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild the hewn stone. Okay, the hewn stone, if you don't know, is basically a stronger stone. This is a verse of defiance. Instead of returning back to God, this is a verse of defiance, saying, no, we will make it stronger. We will be stronger without God. And that's what happens. Or they, think that's what happens. And what's crazy is during the presidential election in 2004, Senator John Edwards, who you guys that were around then or remember that, he was a vice president, or not vice president. He was a presidential candidate. He uttered this verse, right? And they're saying it. He says it's significant because just like Israel, heads of state said this the day after September 11th. Let's see.
It was read in our Senate a few days after September 11th.
Right. Yeah. Senator John Edwards. Here, I'll share this again. I might just leave the share screen up. Yeah, Senator John Edwards. At the time, he was a senator. But September 11th, 2004, he said, on the same day, September 11th, he said, the bricks have fallen. He read the whole thing. He said, we have the Lord's word to get us through. Not realizing that this is an act of defiance. So it's kind of, and that's the eighth harbinger, as you can probably see here. It says the utterance. We'll come back. The tower. See, now, in a different translation of the Bible, the Greek translation says, the bricks are fallen down, but come, let us hew stones and cut down sycamores and cedars, and let us build for ourselves a tower. It was an attitude of defiance, basically rebuilding the Freedom Tower. There's so much more into this. But to set the stone, they call it the Gazette stone, right? And they cut the stone out of the granite in upstate New York. And it was laid on July 4, 2004, right? And then shortly after that is when John Edwards stated this. Let's see. And then, let me catch where I'm at here. I want to say was the Senate Majority Leader?
I believe so.
He's the one that said in Congress, they said they needed a head of state to say this. Well, the Senate Majority Leader is a head of state.
Right.
And he read the same verse. So there's a lot of verification, re-verification of this. But what I found odd, is everything in this seemed to follow right along with what happened to ancient Israel. And it was so uncanny. I was like, and like I said, we got to do a show on this.
Yeah.
Because even, the seventh harbinger, the Erez tree, which is basically a coniferous tree, like a cedar tree or something like that, as you can see on the picture. They planted the cedar trees at the exact spot that the sycamore was in. But the kicker was several started dying and had to remove several.
Yeah.
And everything they brought in botanists, or what is it, botanists, something like that? Horticulture.
Arborists.
Yeah,
arborists.
And they brought them in, and they could actually find absolutely nothing wrong with the tree. But it was withering away. So I mean, that's a quick little summation of what it is, but it's really uncanny similarities about what happened. And I found it uncanny with the dates of September 11th.
And Mr. Khan brought this to my attention when I was watching an interview with him, and I verified it because I happen to have that copy of the Bible. Those of you who have the Read the Bible in a Year Bible at home, give you a second. Go find it and thumb it over to September 11th. And guess what verse you read on September 11th and have since the 80s when they first started putting this Bible out? It's that verse.
It's crazy. I mean,
Excuse me.
and I'm not saying this is 100% prophecy. I found it just really uncanny. And he goes deeper into the second book, which watching interviews with it, um, and obviously he can explain it better. But that's really the gist of the first book is explaining this prophecy, and right or wrong, it's just like I said, it's uncanny.
Right. It's kind of like when you read about the similarities between the Lincoln and Kennedy assassinations. There's so many coincidences that they can't be coincidence anymore.
Right.
It's just things that make you go, and it's like, are you kidding me? Let me look that up, and sure as shooting, that's what it says.
Right. And then he goes on to say, after everything that happened on September 11th, he goes on to talk about the stock market crash of 2008. And, in September of 2008, here again, September, the economy crashes. Okay. Said it's the greatest economic disaster since the Great Depression, which I think is arguable that we are being set up for an even greater crash. Um, and this is the result of all this. The collapse that comes on the American economy weakens the American economy and hastens the end of the era of America's reign over the economic global order. It is caused by the fall of Lehman Brothers September 12th, 2008, 7 years after the utterance of the vow. So September 12th is when the Senate Majority Leader, I forget his name, I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but I'm not going to dig through it. So I mean, it's just, and think about it. I mean, this is what he is saying. This is basically saying, hey, the gloves are off. Saying God is saying this, the gloves are off. You either return to me, or I'm going to judge you. This is a warning. It's basically a shot across the bow. If that's true, September 11th or September, I'm sorry, 2008 was basically the second warning shot. And what's crazy is all this happened where our nation started. This is where the financial center of our nation started. Wall Street. I mean,
it used to be the capital of the United States.
Right. It's where everything started. And now when an enemy attacks, they attack, your forts or your walls. Think about it in the context of ancient Israel. All the cities were walled, all that stuff. And well, we don't have walls. I mean, sure, there's been a big argument about the wall on the border. It has nothing to do with that. But your walls were your defense. And I think Mark's dying.
Yeah, you got to do it sometime. Might as well be on the air.
Right. Your walls are your defense. I can't even talk right now. Now, we don't have walls, like I said. Everybody knows, hey, the United States doesn't have any walls. I mean, there's been huge contention over in the last, decade or whatever, talking about building a wall or all that. Then, President Trump started, and they've not stopped, to be honest with you. But look into that. But if you look And think about it. Where is our defense located at? It's the Pentagon. Okay, again, I'm going back. September 11th, 1941, the Pentagon was being built. Okay, the same day they attacked our defense.
They attacked the Pentagon.
They attacked the wall. It's so uncanny.
Yeah, even if, for argument's sake, the terrorists planned it that way, I feel like it's still significant.
It is. And there's more to it. What's crazy is, and he goes more into detail at the beginning of the Harbinger 2, that he talks about the first two airplanes. Okay, there was something to do with a holiday. I don't remember what,
It
on
was
September 11th.
Eid al-Adha.
Okay, well, at sunrise that morning, the terrorists were loading up on the first two planes. Okay, the two planes that struck New York, and they talk about a swooping eagle. That's part of this prophecy. It talks about a swooping eagle falling from the sky. Okay, now the two airplanes, and they say God works in multiples of 7. So let's keep that in mind for a second. God works in multiples of 7. So the first two airplanes was American Flight 11. The second airplane was American Flight 77. And what is American Airlines symbol? It's a swooping eagle.
Yeah, let me share that. I've actually got a picture of that.
Okay.
Screen. And see, if you look over here on the side, between the two A's is a swooping eagle.
Yep.
It's on the tail of both of those aircraft.
Yep.
So, yes, that's...
It's crazy, man.
But, yeah, it is. It's crazy. The coincidences, see my air quotes here, coincidences, are amazing. Now, I know it sounds like we're, going off the path and trying to shove religion, but anytime you get to working with prophecy, when you get to working with true prophecy, you start getting weird, and it can come from any source. Not all of it's Christian, not all. I mean, but a true prophet, things start getting weird, and this. The more I look at this, the weirder it gets. Believe in Christianity or not, it's worth looking at because it's just weird. And I look at it, I see too much for it to be coincidence. It's kind of like the whole deal with Lincoln and Kennedy again. There's so many similarities back and forth that I can't see it being coincidence.
Right.
Like history replaying itself. But look at it that way. It's like, let's put it in Battlestar Galactica. This has all happened before and will happen again.
Right.
Or
the Matrix. I mean, you can go so many different directions to make comparison. In the second book, and this might get a little contentious. I'm not intending it to be that way. Okay, I want you to understand that up front. He even brings up COVID. Okay, and the effect on that, and all the dates again line up. I don't have them in front of me, but all of the dates line up. And it was like January 22nd, 1970 was the first court case having to do with abortion. Okay, I mean it's no secret how you and I feel on abortion, and I'm not getting into that debate.
No, yeah.
But
Let's just call it a non-issue at this point.
right, and it is really. I mean, it's only significant because of where I'm going with this. And then whatever date, I think it was April something or other, was 74? Was that Roe v. Wade? Um, was ruled abortion legal. Okay. Now fast forward, January 22nd of 2020 is when COVID hit New York. Okay, all this stuff took place in New York. The same day, January 22nd, I think 1970. Don't quote me, I'm not exact. You'll have to look it up. But I do know it was January 22nd because that reminds me of my son. So, January 22nd, 1970, January 22nd of 2020 is the day that COVID got to New York. He's saying this is a judgment for all of the abortion. You know, the was it 60 million abortions that have happened since Roe v. Wade. That's arguable, but this isn't the show for it. But I can't remember the exact day, but it was April of 2020. In comparison, it was the exact day that Roe v. Wade was, abortion, legalized abortion. Same exact day. In April of 2020 was the highest recorded deaths from COVID in New York.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was in the second book.
He also talked about how 19 years after the whole Sycamore thing, something else happened. And well, 19 years after September 11th, COVID happened.
Yep. COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's also says, and this is what I found uncanny about it was this judgment, okay, with abortion, killing all, the babies or whatever you want to get into it, with them, aborting so many babies, that attacked the young. Now, COVID, on the other hand, who was the highest demographic of deaths? Was older people. So it's kind of opposite there, but the older people lived through the abortions, whereas the young didn't. So I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it could be debatable, but like I said, this isn't the show for it right now. And I lost Mark, or did Mark lose me? Hey, if you guys are in the chat, let me know if you're hearing me or if I lost Mark. Oh, did they lose me? Oh, Mark's gone. Okay. But yeah, it really blew my mind with everything that came out through these books. I mean, there's so much more biblical prophecy. I mean, now we're getting into like Revelation and signs of the times, and I mean, you hear it all. You've heard that we're in the end times and all that. If you're a Christian or whatever, this is all end time stuff. I can't argue and say no that it's not at all. But if you look at how things are going, I seen something today. and I wish Mark was here. I want to get his 2 cents on it. Maybe when he gets back, I may rehash this. But in Revelation, I forget the verse, but they talk about the Euphrates drying up, and the demons, he has demons shackled. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Not sure if this is 100% true. Let's see. And believe it or not, I'm getting my information from TikTok. So
I'm back.
Hey, Mark, you're back.
Yep, my internet took a dump. Sorry.
I don't know if this is going to let me play it. Oh. You were getting a little grainy, but that's all right. I was just kind of shifting to the book of Revelation, which everybody knows is a prophetic book. And I was talking about the Euphrates drying up, and it is right now. It's drying up. And yes, it has in the past. I'm not denying that.
And it will again.
You know what? I bet I don't have it on this. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. Yeah, it will again. But it is right now drying up, and they found caves under the water, and there where the water was, they found caves in there. But and I'm talking about the fallen angels that were supposedly bound or under the river Euphrates. And it was weird because they had, and anybody I know can throw a sound bite, and it's not the first time I've seen this, but you hear chains and stuff coming up out of these holes and stuff in the ground. It was just weird.
It is weird.
But you have you have the four. Okay, let's think about this. The Battle of Gog and Magog. Okay, if you're not familiar with it, they liken the Battle of Gog and Magog is Russia and her allies. Okay, I think one is I think Magog was Iran. I forget 100% on that, but I know it was involved Russia and Iran. And they talk about him. I'm sorry, guys. But they talk about a million man. Not, it is. I think you're catching me. But they also talk about a 100 million man army. Okay, putting 2 plus 2 together, using my thought process. Who's the only nation that can field an army that big?
That would be China.
China. Okay, so if you're watching world events right now, you see Russia, China, and Iran. They're all talking. They're all coming together. And that was the importance of the Euphrates drying up, is to allow them to cross into Israel. So there's nothing we can do. I mean, it's my understanding, and I'm not a biblical scholar. I'm not. I've never. I can't say I've ever read the whole thing. I've read a lot of prophecy. Whether I understand it or not, I plead the fifth. I mean, because I really don't. But I do know a little bit, and I'd love to have somebody to come on that can explain it to us, especially like the Book of Revelations, what we're seeing now. But the Battle of Gog and Magog, they're going to attack Israel, and Israel's not going to have any allies. If you look at the world stage right now, we're supposed to be Israel's greatest ally.
Yeah.
We're not. We're absolutely not. But see, I mean, Bible scholars, when I say they, that's what I'm talking about. Bible scholars talk about how Russia is in end times, how Syria or Iran and all that. Now, could it be because it's when the Bible was written, that's really the local area? Is that the known area?
Quite possibly.
Possibly. I mean, you know, they didn't know that there was two, but they knew Rome, they knew Greece, all that stuff. And so they say the United States is nowhere to be found in Revelation, at the end of the world. And when I hear that, I'm sitting there thinking, is that because we've got to go through whatever we're going through now, and it tears us down? You know. So anyway, Israel has no allies, but when this 1,000,000-man army comes marching, and I may have this all messed up because I know, you have the Battle of Armageddon, and then you have, the first thing though is Israel comes under attack, and that's when the Antichrist is supposed to show up, and that's, he's going to make world peace, but God is going to step in and protect Israel, but non-believers will deny it. And that's according to Revelation. But there's so much other stuff. You have the four horsemen. The what is it? The red horse, the black horse, the white. Or is it the white horse? I don't remember.
The white horse,
anyway,
the pale is the pale horse.
horse.
That's when death rides.
Right. But there's so many different things. And they talk about a worldwide earthquake. They talk about a one world government, one world currency, not being able to buy or sell unless you have the mark, which everybody is familiar with that. Is the system in place? I'm going to ask you that straight out. Is the system in place for this to happen? I absolutely believe it is. If you've been keeping up with what we've talked about on especially on preparedness and news with everything that's going on, the whole USDR or whatever it is, the digital dollar.
Yeah.
If you don't sign on to it, they can control what you buy and what you sell, or whatever. Whether this whole CSQR stuff comes true or not. But I know and you've heard it, there's talks of the digital dollar coming along. So if you don't think like they do, or you don't toe the line, they control you. And that's why on the other show, we talk about spitting yourself out of the system. And I think we need to tie in with this on the other show. But
because I think it ties in. I really do think it ties in.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely do. I mean, if anything, we've learned that it's all tied together. Every bit of it. And really, it's crazy because the more we go into this stuff, the more we find there's similarities, there's links there. I mean, it's crazy. What do they call those boards? When they're trying to solve murders and stuff. I forgot what they call them.
Murder boards.
Murder boards. There we go. I mean, I think I would have one in this whole room. Dripping over everything.
Oh yeah, I'd strangle myself in yarn.
Yeah, with the things that are connected, yeah, absolutely.
And just leaving religion out of it, there are many different religions with all sorts of what's the word I'm looking for, Phil? Prophecy that people have studied, and they are just as weird as what we're talking about, just as compelling. That's the word I'm looking for.
Right.
So you can look at any religion or any book of prophecy. If there are true prophets out there, and it seems like every religion has had a few, you're going to find stuff like this.
Yeah.
And
now I'll go ahead. Sorry.
You're a fool. You're a fool not to pay attention to it.
Right. Now here's something I was thinking about earlier today. I've probably thought about it several times. Now, when the Bible was written, or the Quran, or all these prophets, Nostradamus, um, Fatima. Are you familiar with that one, the Lady of Fatima, or whatever it is?
Yes.
Um, and then there's another. Was it Edgar Casey? Does that sound right?
Yes.
All these guys are prophets. Supposedly prophets. Are they getting a download from the universe, looking at possible timelines?
You know what? That's possible. I mean, that's what this whole looking glass thing is
Right.
that we've talked about. It's just and the what was that? The visor or whatever that was.
I
Chronovisor.
Oh, the chronovisor. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, they exist in every religion, outside of religion, and whatnot. And I don't think you should dismiss any good warning.
No, absolutely not.
Uh, it's like don't touch that pot; it's hot. You're going to burn yourself.
Right.
Don't burn yourself, or sorry, Noah, don't put your thumb in a saw.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I kind of think, and something else that maybe just hit me. Here in the U.S. and in the West, I'll say that the Christian culture is so ingrained. I mean, yes, we've gotten away from it. No denying that. I'm actually listening to another book by Jonathan Cahn right now. Really good book. And I'd kind of like to do a show on it eventually. But he talks about the old gods, but the old gods, but but the book's named Return of the Gods. It just dropped yesterday. And really good book. I'm not really going to go into it because it has nothing really to do with the topic at hand. But I'm kind of sitting there thinking about it. We talk a lot about the whole quantum realm and creating your own universe and all that. I wonder if the Christian culture is so ingrained in the West, and there's so many people that claim to be believers. I wonder if there's so many people that believe, like Revelation. Are they bringing that to fruition? Are they creating that reality?
it's possible. I mean,
if we're talking about the different timelines and stuff like that. I actually watched another interview with Frank today on Inspired. Really good interview. And he had some pretty compelling evidence. So if you guys haven't checked it out, go watch it. It's on the Inspired Network or on the Inspired channel over on YouTube. But he's talking about a pole shift. We've touched on it, but
Yep.
they're claiming in April it's going to be a massive pole shift. So they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if it's just going to be the magnetic poles. They don't know if it's going to be a crust shift or whatever. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you look at Revelation again, they're talking about the worldwide earthquake. That would be a worldwide earthquake. Borders
It
would
would.
change. I mean, and there's massive death. I mean, there's crazy creatures. There's the locusts that aren't really locusts. I want to say they have the face of men. They have the tails of a scorpion. I mean, and they come from the bottomless pit. I don't know. It's crazy. If you get into Revelation and you come out with a good feeling, there's something wrong with you. I remember years ago, and actually,
It used to give me nightmares.
yeah, years ago when the book series came out, the Left Behind series,
Right.
and I'm not talking rapture. I'm not talking any of that. I mean, that's arguable because nowhere in the Bible does it say rapture. In each different, I'll say sect, or denomination, tells a little bit different. I say read Revelation and draw with it from what you will. So. But there's tons of other prophecy throughout the Bible as well. You have the book of Daniel, you have Jeremiah, Isaiah, all that stuff. And But the Left Behind series is actually what led me to Christ. It scared the holy bejesus out of me because I'm like, well, I don't want to be around for this, you know. And that's what planted the seed for me. But there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on. I mean, you sit there and think about God, and you think about all these crazy little animals and stuff like that. The beast and the dragon, and I mean, it's all they say it's metaphorical. The dragon is the Antichrist or whatever, but the locusts with the tails and the breastplates and all that. God made us. I truly believe that. There's a creator. I believe that. But God made us. Who says he can't make? He made the angels. Who says he can't make them? You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's scary. That's the only word I can really think of.
Like I said, never ignore a good warning. I don't care what you think of the source of the warning. Never ignore a good warning.
Right.
If somebody I cannot stand, don't believe in, don't trust, points to the edge of a building and says, you're going to fall off of it, I'm going to back up.
Right. I
mean, never waste a good warning.
No. Facebook user, I'm not sure who this is. I truly believe we're seeing prophecy fulfilled. I do too. I absolutely do. Because there's too many quote unquote coincidences happening. And I don't think they're coincidence. It's all a path laid before us.
Everything has happened before and it will happen again.
Yes, absolutely. But I want to know, how much control do we have as people? Because they were John and John. I need to email John again and see if he wants to jump on, because I'd love to have a talk with that guy.
Well, isn't that the whole purpose of a warning, though, to give you a chance to back off?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the whole purpose. If there was no chance, we wouldn't be getting warnings.
Right. I mean, even the Bible says, God's the beginning, he's the end, the Alpha, the Omega. And if it's true, a lot of people are going to be shocked.
Right.
But what scares me more than anything is people that don't believe, and please, I mean, it's your decision. I'm not trying to push anything on you. If people that don't believe, they're even in the Bible it says their hearts will be hardened.
Right.
So they're going to be angry. They're going to be, they're I don't know. This is kind of more of a theological discussion.
What have we been seeing in the news lately?
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
People's hearts have been hardened.
Absolutely, they have. And going back to our show Monday, this is where community comes into play.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, sure, there are people out there, that are atheists. Okay, that's your beliefs. I mean, go for it. I will never. That's your decision. But I don't know if there's a chance. Why not take it? Because I'm saved. And I'm not trying to get on my behind my pulpit and pound my fist and say, "Hey, you guys got to be in all this and all this stuff." I'm saved. But if I'm wrong, what do I have to lose?
Exactly. What do you got to lose? Why wouldn't you back away from the edge?
Right. And I guess Another kind of, I want to back away from the theological debate because we can talk about that for a while. I think Mark's going down again. uh,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought again.
Sorry.
But no, you're good. No, but if you look at prophecy, not just Christian prophecy, like we were talking Nostradamus, if we, all these different, quote unquote prophets through history. If you look at them, most people say, well, how could it be prophecy if we didn't know about it until it happened and people are finding that information? There's a lot of people screaming it from the rooftops right now. And sure, I can see the argument in some ways, like with Nostradamus talking about Hitler. It was history. I'm not an etymologist or whatever. I don't study languages. I can barely speak English, let alone any other language. So are you splitting hairs? I mean, wasn't Nostradamus was what, Italian, something like that? He was Italian, I believe. And I have no clue what Italian language is. I mean, I know it kind of sounds like Spanish a little bit, but and they eat a lot of spaghetti. I don't know if that's part of the language or not, but you know, and so I guess a lot could be lost in translation. I guess maybe a lot of the Bible could have been as well.
Have
You
you ever
know,
seen remote viewing or any of that stuff? Or auto writing? You don't
yeah,
get exact stuff, you get close.
right,
So, I mean, he may have had this image of a word, and that's the word he came up with. It was similar to this. It's
right,
like the Titanic was called the Titan,
right.
you know?
And
So,
essentially, that's what they claimed it was, the Titanic, anyway. But
right.
I mean, I see it, but I see a lot of the arguments saying, well, it wasn't really prophecy if they didn't stop it, or if it wasn't stopped.
No, no, it's not how prophecy works.
No,
Prophecy is just a warning. You can either suffer the consequences or avoid them.
right. I think of it like this. I mean, have you ever had a dream that came true?
Absolutely.
I don't know if everybody has. I know I have. Not
My
not
daughter has many
counting,
times.
not counting deja vu, but when it happens. You're like, I have. It's like everything lines up, and for me anyway, it's like I saw this, I dreamt this, I remember that dream now.
Yeah, that's what prophecy is.
That's what prophecy is.
Some people are just
And
born too.
yeah, so I think we're in that. I mean, people have that ability to see if they know how to tune it in. I mean, there's a lot of factors going on right now. They're talking about, the galactic alignment. I'm not an astrologer, nothing like that. Galactic alignment and frequencies coming from the center of the galaxy and all that
The Great
are higher.
Awakening. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm getting to is the Great Awakening. People are waking up, and there again, I can see the people waking up at a spiritual level. I can see that. Not just, well, the government's trying to screw us over, and we're going to wake up to it and fight this. Maybe that was a catalyst, but people are realizing, hey, we've got to do something different. So they're reaching out in a spiritual aspect, whether it be Christianity or new age type stuff or whatever. They're understanding that there's more. Whether you believe in Gaia or whether you believe, in a creator or Yahweh, or Muhammad or whatever, or Allah or whatever. And I'll never be derogatory towards any of them. That's your belief. And I've heard arguments, all these gods are the same and all that, and I'm not really going to get into that. I disagree with it, but like we've said many times, and it's become more and more apparent, there is a spiritual battle going on right now. I see it with some of the stuff I see. If you look at Christianity right now here in the United States,
it's a mess.
Oh my gosh, it is. It's even just looking at Facebook comments. They talk about, oh, your invisible sky daddy or whatever, or making fun of it. Because people choose to believe a certain way.
That even different denominations just out and out battling each other.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys supposed to be friends? Aren't we all on the same team?
Supposed to be on the same team, yeah. I mean, I've seen it where, and I've said it many times, I am not the best example of a Christian at all.
Same.
By any stretch of the imagination, I'm not.
Same.
I fall way short. But it's what I believe in my heart, just like it's what you believe in your heart. Or if somebody believes something else, I'm not there to say they're wrong. I might politely disagree. But to me, it's not worth a heated argument, because I don't believe in trying to cram what I believe down your throat. I don't know. It's an interesting subject. I mean, like
it doesn't matter what prophet you're talking about; they're all interesting.
No. Yeah, I mean, I've looked into Nostradamus and Edgar Casey. Who was the blind prophet? Do you remember what I'm talking about? The lady, the blind lady, and she was like crazy accurate.
You mean Christy? Oh.
I think that's what they call her, is the blind prophet.
Baba Vanga.
Baba Vanga, yes. Yeah, she was crazy accurate. I think it was it World War I or World War II she predicted, or hell, maybe it may have been both.
Right. She was born in Bulgaria and died in 1996 at age 85.
Yeah, so I don't know, I don't remember if what she predicted.
No,
I think
but
she predicted.
It says she had a 85% accuracy rate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy to think about that.
They're out there. There are people today. And really, even though it's science fiction, there are a lot of mathematical what's the word I'm looking for? Mathematical
prophet? No. I know what you're talking about, I think.
Formulas.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Henry Seldon and the whole robots universe from Asimov.
Yeah.
Models. All kinds of computer models. What do you think a computer model is? It's our attempt to duplicate prophecy.
Yep. Well, what's the I'd seen it years ago, and it was a computer program that ran this algorithm or whatever it was, and it was pretty accurate on predicting things. It was some kind of prediction model or whatever, but it was really accurate at predicting things worldwide, like events and stuff like that. I don't remember the name of it though.
I do not either.
Hold on. Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, let's see. Oh man.
I believe that there are people out there who can just tap into whatever it is and, you know, make accurate predictions, whether they're seeing it or dreaming it or what have you. And I myself have had quote unquote prophetic dreams where something I dreamt about came to pass.
Yeah, I have too. I mean, I'm not going to
I
get
think
into
everybody
it.
has if they want to admit it to themselves.
Right. And be open to it. And I think that's where the spiritual aspect comes into it. Um, whether you believe or not, I think everybody, like I said earlier, I think everybody has the capacity to do it. It's just understanding it when it happens.
Right.
And even the times that I've had the quote unquote, prophetic dreams, didn't realize it was.
Not until after the event happened.
Right. And I don't know if it was prophetic or not, but it scared the crap out of me the other night. And it was one of those that I woke up about halfway through it. I woke up. I mean, I came to. I was like, man, that's nuts. I was looking for my wife, looking for my kids. Everything had fallen down, collapsed. So it startled me. It startled me awake. And I don't really remember dreams. But then I went back to sleep and it picked up right where it left off.
Oh, I hate those.
God, I hated it. And I don't, was it prophetic? Man, I hope not.
Yeah.
Was it just a dream? I hope. I don't know. But that was the scariest thing. I mean, my wife and kids being gone, I was like, I couldn't find them. And it was like I was in a prison cell and I was trying to pass information out, because I'm not going to get into it, but
No, let's not give you
it
nightmares
was,
tonight.
yeah, it was disturbing. So was it not? I don't know. And I pray that it doesn't come true. Let's see, what was this? Chris posted. Mark, remember when Amanda at church announced that she was pregnant and Sarah told everyone that I had a baby in my belly too? We laughed and said no. 2 weeks later, I found.
I remember that.
Yeah,
It
but
happens.
how many times? How many times does that happen? In a day or whatever, when somebody says something small like that, but it comes true and people don't think about it.
I bet it happens a million times a day all over the world every single day.
Yeah,
These
I bet it does too.
tiny little bits of insight that everybody just dismisses. Oh, that's a coincidence. I
Right.
don't really think so. I think the human mind, the spirit of the human being, is in tune with the universe around it,
Mm-hmm.
and that it happens. Call it prophecy, call it premonition,
Yep.
call it oogity boogity.
Yeah.
It happens.
Whatever it is, it's this. To me, it's the same. Premonition and prophecy are the same.
Yeah, it's just scale.
Except, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, except for really what we've talked about tonight, Revelation and the Isaiah 9:10 uh, prophecy or whatever by Jonathan Kahn. It's the scale of it. It's huge. But I think people see stuff every day, but they don't think about it because they're
Right?
used to it.
And I also think that patterns tend to reassert themselves on reality
Yeah.
almost cyclically.
Oh, I'm sure. You know, even
And we're talking about a pattern.
yeah,
So,
even the Bible talks about. I can't remember what verse and what book. I want to say it was like in the Old Testament. May have been Isaiah. May have been Daniel. I don't remember. I know Daniel's a huge prophetic Bible or book in the Bible, and it's Old Testament. Then they talk about the beast with 10 horns. Talk about the statue that was made of different like bronze, silver, or bronze. Was it bronze, gold, all that, and they liken it to the Greeks, Roman Empire, and then goes on from there. But man, I forgot where I was going.
you have been
It's
hanging
just
around me too long.
wow, man, you were really cutting out there.
Oops. Any better?
No,
No. Let me refresh and see what happens. I've had
okay,
internet problems all night.
okay. Yeah, we just lost Mark for a second. He's got some technical difficulties, but Chris, she put on there talking about her and Mark's daughter. She said she dreams of people being pregnant, and then they are. I've known people like that. Yeah, it's not any better, man.
Man,
Yeah, it's
the
real staticky.
internet hates me today.
It must. It must have known what we're talking about.
First Cox kicked me off, and now AT&T is going to get me. We must be
Yep,
on to
must be. We're over the target.
something.
All right. He looks. I mean, I can see you just fine, but I'm not hearing you clearly. It's like real staticky.
Oh man, how do I sound, Chris?
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my end or what. Chris said you look fine on my end. Over there.
I
But
always look good.
oh, okay, it must be just me then. She said it sounds fine to you too, or to her.
All right, well,
Um, I don't know. Let me get my train of thought back here. But yeah, everybody I think can experience it. Uh oh. Says no one's on the net here. Huh.
yeah. is- Earlier, I had pretty good connectivity with Cox and asked everybody to stay off.
Uh,
Then Cox went away, and I had to get on 18.
but yeah, I don't know. Let's wrap up. I mean, you got some troubles going on. It sounds like, and
Sorry, man.
oh, no big deal. I think we'll revisit this Monday and look at kind of some preparedness aspects of this.
Right.
Yeah, we might kind of go down a rabbit hole, but what else is new?
Rabbit holes are fun. I mean, we should really have called both podcasts down the rabbit hole with Mark and Phil.
I think, yeah, I think so.
It would be
Um,
accurate anyway.
yeah, it would. Uh, but yeah, I think hopefully technical difficulties will stay away for Monday. Um, but yeah, we're going to continue this conversation, but we're going to look at it more from a preparedness perspective. Uh, I, I, we can go so many different ways with this topic, and Mark and I were talking backstage about other topics like Nostradamus and stuff like that, and looking into him and several other prophets. So I don't know. Keep an ear out for that. We're looking at that. We're looking at. I'm going to try to remember to post a post tonight up on the Facebook group. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, come and join us. A great group of people.
Yeah.
So come join us. But I'm gonna post up your paranormal stories. We want to get a big show together for Halloween. I believe Halloween is a Monday. I believe. Let's see. Yes, Halloween is a Monday.
Is a Monday.
So there will not be a show Monday. So we may pre-record the show and post it Monday for Halloween. I'm going to be taking the kids out trick-or-treating, so I enjoy doing that. Maybe we'll get Pam and Jess on and just have a fun Halloween show. Maybe invite some other guests or whatever to jump on with us. We can do the pre-record. And
Sure.
Just have a good Halloween hangout, and I think it'd be a good time.
Yeah, I think so too.
And we'll share your stories, your listener stories, viewer stories. I mean, we'll record video and I'll post it up ahead of the of Halloween and have it drop Halloween. I think it'd be fun. So look for that on Facebook. I'm gonna post it and put it up on the wall and pin it. That way you guys can add to it. I will ask you if you would please email us your stories, or if you have a way to record it, we can throw your audio in there, or what have you. So we will ask that you email it to us. That way we can have a long form, and you're not trying to type a whole bunch on Facebook. But I do want to put the reminder up there, and if you want, you can put, hey, commented, emailed you, whatever. But yeah, we want to hear your stories. I mean, if you have prophetic story, just any kind of creepy story, abduction or ghost or dogman or Bigfoot or whatever, I want to hear them. We want to hear them. We love hearing the stories. And again, don't forget the Paracon on the 24th. They're in Caney at the community building. Is that right?
Yes,
that's what they call it.
Community Center.
So September 24th. They got the Bordertown Paracon going on. Pam and Jess, Mark. There's a few other people that you guys haven't met yet that are taking the lead on this, and they've built something a lot of fun, really good for this area because there's not a ton of things to do. Usually, to go to something like this, you've got to drive for an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours.
Yeah.
At the closest. So they really. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
It's my understanding that it is the only event on National Ghost Hunters Day in the at least the 4-state area.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a good time, y'all, and it's only getting bigger. Last year we were under tents and it was raining, and this year we're in a building. They're in a. I'll say they. I mean, we're just taking part in it for lunch, and we're going to try to do a live stream there. I don't know how we're going to make that work, but we'll figure something out. So keep that in mind, folks. If you're available, if you can make the trip, come check it out. Meet and greet. You can meet us, Mark and I, and Pam and Jess. It'd be a great time. Hear some cool stories. Hear some cool ideas.
Meet some neat people.
Meet some cool people. It's all worth it, and it's free to get in. You just have to pre-register. So don't forget.
And you can register at the door too.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. We just don't want to go over the limits of the building.
Right, and that makes sense. Yeah, don't forget. If you guys want to chat with us, send us. Direct messages. Email whatiftomorrowpc@gmail.com. All this will be on the post on Facebook because we definitely want to hear your stories. I think it'd be a lot of fun. We tried it the first year we started this, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we had some really good stories. Big Willie shared a story of his. I want to know if his new house is haunted. He just moved, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he just moved, so I'm kind of curious. And So we just look forward to hearing. We enjoy hearing from you. If you're listening, man, come join us on Mondays or Wednesdays and join the chat. We love having the chat. It's a lot of fun interacting with you guys. Uh, this whole StreamYard thing has really opened up a whole new dynamic for the show, and we enjoy it. It makes it
Oh
easier
yeah.
for Mark and I. We're not trying, because before we would pre-record the shows like two every 2 weeks. We'd sit down on a Sunday afternoon, pop a beer, and knock out 2 episodes. And honestly, when we were done, we were tired.
We were tired.
So this makes it so much easier. I mean, we've worked all day, but it makes it so much easier because we're not traveling. Plus we get to interact with everybody, so it's all
Yeah.
worth it. And with that being said, folks, thank you again for listening. We appreciate your time, and we will catch you next episode.
Good night, folks.